Hi everyone, welcome to Climate Solutions. I'm really excited to be here with you. My name's Stephen Porder. I'm a professor of ecology, evolutionary, and organismal biology at Brown, where I'm also the associate provost for sustainability. And the videos that we're going to share with you through this series are ones that were developed as part of a course at Brown, an undergraduate course on climate solutions that spans everything from engineering to political science to theater arts, all oriented around the idea that students today and people today want to understand the solutions to the problem of climate change, not just the problem itself. And one of the really exciting things about the era that we're in right now, and very different from the era when I started my career in 2000, is that the path to solutions is becoming clearer and clearer. And rather than simply decry the problem, and rightly so, we now have a lot to say about how to solve it. So this course is motivated by the idea that while we have to understand the problem, the solutions are at hand, and it's important for us all to think about them and to think about the pieces that are still missing so that we can move even more quickly to getting this problem under control. So I want to start with telling you a little bit about how I ended up teaching a course on climate solutions and why I'm so excited to share those ideas with you. My early research was on tropical rainforests, and I tried to understand what limited how much they grew, how much carbon dioxide they took out of the atmosphere and incorporated into their trees and soils, and how that varied from place to place. So it was very basic science, but it was important for climate because tropical forests play a big role in our climate system. But when I taught my classes at Brown, the students were always pushing me on what were the solutions to the problems that I was telling them about. So I would tell them about deforestation and how it was emitting CO2 to the atmosphere, and I would tell them about tropical agriculture and the difficulty of raising rural livelihoods in the tropics while limiting deforestation. Or in an intro environmental science class, I would talk about the problem of emissions coming from everybody's tailpipe as they burn gasoline while they drive. And they kept asking me, well, but aren't there answers to these problems? And why is your class so depressing? So as I thought about those questions, I thought, really, there are solutions that are beginning to emerge and are starting to gather momentum. Why don't we shift our thinking so that we can talk about the problems, we can understand the problems, but then we can also talk about solutions. And that's what really led to the development of this course. I had an enormous amount of support from Brown's Sheridan Center for Teaching and Learning, who helped me develop all of these videos, and of course financial support from a generous gift to our Climate Solutions Initiative. With that collaboration, I was able to put together a group of faculty from around the country to contribute video modules on particular pieces of what we see as climate solutions. And those are the videos, some of those videos, I share with you in this series. So these videos really have two fundamental motivations. And the first one, as I've already said, is to describe the problem of climate change, but really to shift the emphasis from the description of that problem to a focus on solutions. The other thing that's really motivating this course is that the word solutions means very different things to different people. And it's only by thinking about solutions from a multidisciplinary perspective that you can really understand how they can come to be. For example, an engineer might look at the problem of integrating solar panels into the electricity grid from an engineering perspective. How are we going to get the power we need? How are we going to avoid blackouts? How are we going to make sure that those solar panels provide the power that we need, even as we add electrical vehicles to the mix of demand? But a politician or a political scientist might think, well, what are the legislative barriers to integrating renewables into the grid? How do we transmit power politically from one state to another? Who wins? Who loses? How does that affect my constituencies? What do we do with those old power plants? Similarly, from an equity perspective, you might ask the question, well, where are the solar panels going to be sited? Should we be putting them in urban areas? Should we be putting them in rural areas? What about on farms? Should we be cutting down trees? Right? Who's winning and who's losing with where we put those things? Same with offshore wind. So anyone thinking about a solution to integrating renewables into the electricity grid actually has to understand all those things. right? They can't just be an engineer. They can't just be a politician or a political scientist. They can't just be an economist. They have to think about the interaction of all of those things. And so these videos are motivated by a desire to share with students and to share with you multiple ways of thinking about the same problem and the solutions to those problems. So while there are myriad contributors to climate change, the biggest one is our production of energy. Our energy that we use for transportation, our energy that we use to heat and cool our buildings, our energy that we use for industry. Together, energy is responsible for roughly 75% of the greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate change. And of energy, electricity is soon to be the biggest contributor. So the first video module that we're going to talk about is going to describe the problem of climate change. But the second module that's in this series is going to focus on electricity. So overall, this course was built with the idea that students who are going to contribute meaningfully to climate solutions need to A, understand the problem, and B, understand that solutions came from multiple different perspectives. And I hope through the videos that we're sharing with you that you will start to get a flavor of that as well. That there are multiple lenses, and most importantly, that every single person can be a contributor to solutions. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be a political scientist. You don't have to be an economist. You can be anywhere in human society and contribute meaningfully to solutions. That's one of the most hopeful things that has really emerged in my thinking over the last 2 decades as a teacher and scholar at Brown. When I started here, I really was overwhelmed by the problem of climate change. And while that problem is severe and is going to challenge human society for the coming century, absolutely, we are beginning to see our way to solutions. And I'm so excited to be able to share those with you because it is a time of hope and it doesn't need to be a time of despair. And I look forward to interacting with you online and through other fora to discuss these things.